Hi, I'm Gracie, I work at Severn Trent and this is Presenting Data. It falls under the Data Get to the Point bundle. Displaying data tips. There's lots of different ways you can display data and I'm sure there's lots of different tips out there. But today we've got 5 top tips for you. Maintaining integrity. Integrity when it comes to data is so important. You have to consider, is the data true? Are you displaying the data in a misleading way? And are you avoiding bias? For example, I know someone who said that 100% of people said they like a song. But if that 100% of people was one person, and that one person said they like it, factually it still is 100% of people. But it's very misleading. It doesn't have the integrity it needs. And then the bias. Are you avoiding bias? It's really hard to not let our feelings or attitudes or opinions to affect decisions that we make or the data, how we display the data. But it's so important to avoid bias. Be visual. Is the data displayed clearly and is it easy to understand? When we display data in a visual way, when we use charts, graphs, tables, we can really see at a glance what the data is pointing towards. Stay simple. Simplicity. Is this display clear and understandable? We don't want there to be an overwhelming amount of data on show or too many colours or lots of different backgrounds. We need it to be simple for us to understand, and having one plain colour or plain background helps emphasise that data and helps show what it's trying to tell us. Highlight comparison. Comparison. Can you see the difference in data points or sets? This can fall under the visual and simplicity. It should be easy for us to see the difference between data points. This could mean putting the data values in order to make sure, or making sure that you label the value of each segment. Answer the question. Measure. Does the chart clearly answer the question? If my overriding question was how do I save money, there's no point in me making a data display of how much everyone else spends. It doesn't necessarily relate. So make sure that you're clearly answering the question and being specific to the question at hand. Next is data tips and tricks. So these are just a little bit more information about the data we have available to us. Quantitative versus qualitative. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, but once you get hold of it and manage to say it, quantitative data is numerical data. This can be statistically analysed. Qualitative data is language-based data that can be used to gain insights of subjective experiences, attitudes, opinions and feelings. So essentially it's numbers versus words. And quite often the words give light to the numbers. So if you feel you need to, you can use qualitative data to back up the quantitative data. Classify and cluster. By that we mean to find logical groups and put that data together. To code the data, which is identifying the concepts and then adding the name and categorising it. It could be as simple as positive, negative and neutral. If I asked you, did you enjoy today's session? And you had to rank it within numbers, I might say, well, that from numbers 10 to 8, that's positive. So that's all going under this cluster. 7 to 5, neutral. 4 to 1, negative. The third tip is to look at the bigger picture as well as the detail. It is important to look at the outliers and go through the data and look for the blanks to either remove the whole row or fill in with average numbers. But we should look at the big picture. We need a representative sample. And a good way for us to fill in those blanks is to use averages, also known as descriptive statistics. Range. Range is the difference between the highest and lowest value in the data set, so that you know how spread out the data is. The smaller the difference between the two numbers and the closer the data values. meaning there's better consistency within the results. However, if it is a bigger distance, again, the results aren't necessarily consistent. Mode. This is the most common value in the dataset. What appears most frequently? If you had a bunch of people and you said, what's the most common age? Think mode. Think, well, there's 5 people who are aged 25, but there's only 2 people aged 17, 2 people aged 32, etc., etc. The most would be the 25 age group. Next is median. Median is the middle value of the dataset, showing the centre of the data. This is easy to remember, median, middle, but when it comes to a queue of data, you need to put them in order to be able to assess the median, from highest to lowest, or lowest to highest. It doesn't matter as long as they are in the order. You then find the middle point, which is the median. If you've got an even amount of numbers, the median will fall between 2 data sets. We then have the mean, and it's called mean because it's the hardest to do. It's very mean. Mean is the numerical average. You add all of the values and divide by how many values there were. This gains a true insight to what the average score would be. For example, you could add all the prices of your shopping cart and then divide the total by the number of products you bought. This would help you find the average price of the products. So thank you everybody for watching. That was presenting data, and I hope you really enjoyed the top tips. Please leave a comment below.